Hey look, a positive video. Haven't done one of those in a year. So I have made it clear in my about page in which I said I liked anime. So to provide relevance, here it is, first anime talk. I should also clarify that I will only be discussing the 1988 animation film of Akira in particular. I have not read the manga at all, but I am aware that it exists in a separate continuity with a different storyline. Also, this video will contain mild spoilers, so if anyone is sensitive about that, feel free to click off. I know that is more popularly pronounced as Akira, but I am going to refer it by how it is mentioned in the film.
That's Kaneda's bike from Akira.
Keep in mind, at the time of making of this video, I had only seen the sub. I haven't heard any English voice actors, so I cannot judge their performance, but the Japanese cast did a fantastic job. Akira was an incredibly influential film when it was first released, and after watching it, it wasn't hard to see why. Before then, animation in general wasn't particularly recognized as a gem in which it can fit any types of themes in it. A vast majority of people back then thought that the shtick was only suited for a younger audience. However, Akira managed to prove the fact that cartoons can in fact incorporate mature themes, and it was a cultural phenomenon, spanning its inspiration and influence across what's next to come to media. It's hard to imagine what today would have been like without this or anything similar being a success. So what do I think of it? Well, it's a good film. It's not without its issues, and I will get to that. And personally, I really liked it. I won't get into every significant detail of this film because I'll briefly explain my points without spoiling too much. So for those who don't know what the film is about, Akira was set in the futuristic era of 2019 following the conclusion of World War III after a nuclear bomb was detonated in Tokyo 31 years ago. This will later be rebuilt as Neo Tokyo. And to put it simply, it is a complete hellhole. The city is riddled of problems. There's terrorist attacks, biker gangs, riots, poverty, all sustained by a government that was spiraling out of control. A cyberpunk dystopia that pretty much no one wanted to live in. We follow main protagonist Kaneda. Okay, so future me speaking here whilst editing this. I have something to confess. I mispronounced Kaneda's name wrongly for the entire video. I have been saying Canada instead, but I have already edited the line recording, so I'm just too lazy to do it all over again. And just make this statement cause it's a small matter. Although I know that those who may not watch this part will ravage me in the comment section, so... A biker who along with his gang were in roughhousing. It was until one of the members was hospitalized after some weird old baby thing had exploded his bike. However, he wasn't transported to some normal hospital. It was a government experimentation. So Tetsuo now has powers, similar to the 3 other children with blue skin that were akin to another being. This other person was locked inside a sacred area, so Tetsuo attempted to get his hands on that said individual. There you go, that's your premise. Like I said before, I will not deny that there are issues. Despite the fact that the movie had changed the way animation was viewed in history, it was not perfect. But that also never meant that everything in here is bad. The animation is very good. TMS, the studio which worked on this film, utilizes cell animation, and I'm no expert when it comes to this, but every frame is well put together to make it look very fluid. The hand-drawn backgrounds are visually nice to look at despite Akira's very explicit material, including the intense action, body horror, gore, or whatever the hell this is. What the fuck? For some reason, everything just looked appealing regardless. Some of the main casts stand out from the rest of the other characters. Isn't really saying much in honesty, but I will get to that later. Kaneda, although he was not the most well written, in-depth or developed protagonist ever, his role played a big part within the plot. However, the plot is mostly revolved around another character, that being Tetsuo, whom Kaneda's contribution to the story is mostly related to, and I even argue that he is more of the protagonist than Kaneda. Tetsuo's growth and character were executed quite well. though I felt that it should have been expanded upon more. We get to witness his growing obsession for power, his insecurities which amplified his beta cuck energy, as well as his descent into madness. Another character had a surprising amount of depth given to, being the governor, whom I forgot his name. He was someone who wanted to do good with the means of performing terrible acts, essentially being portrayed as more of an anti-hero than anything. However, like I said before, a lot of characters were very underutilized and most were just kind of there. The three old baby Smurfs were not given much to do except for just being MacGuffins and providing exposition. Kay was alright, but could have been explored more. And Tetsuo's love interest, whom I also forgot the name of, could have been one of the biggest key points for Tetsuo's character arc. Aside from providing him with some motivation, she was hardly present and does nothing else for the rest of the film. It sucked, and I'm only specifying her from this film, not the manga. She might be good in that one, but I'm not entirely sure. I also have questions regarding plot points, so if I had misinterpreted something, then please let me know. But without spoiling too much, there were events that weren't explained properly or never had a decent amount of detail. This goes for in regards to why the bombing in Tokyo started World War III, what happened during then, why the Smurf babies look like the way they were, just things like that. So overall, this movie wasn't perfect, but it was really good and a pleasant ride. Akira was the animation that had changed everything, and without it, then things would not have been the same for today.